Our next fighter making his way to the cage, Luis Carmona.
Well, coming out of Santa Ana, California, just a little bit down the freeway there, Luis Huicho Carmona making his way to the cage, standing at 5'7", 24 years old. What do you know about this guy?
Well, he's a blue belt in jiu-jitsu there at 10th Planet Costa Mesa under Casey Halstead. This is his third fight so far. His last fight, a win against Adam White, a round 1 submission victory. You know, he's a very good decision maker. He knows when to go for the submission, when not to. He's really strong with the arm bars specifically, a well-rounded fighter, not afraid to go to his back. The big thing for him is he's fantastic in that in-between game. So look for him to dominate the transitions.
Now we know 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu is just opening up everywhere. I mean, it's like amazing how that has grown. I mean, they've been one of those, you know, those gyms that have been around, you know what I mean? But now just opening up in different parts of the world.
Well, it's a movement. There's a specific, it's not just a jiu-jitsu gym, it's a culture that goes behind it as well.
Yeah.
And I think that people really enjoy that culture that goes with it. You know, also that focus on no-gi grappling, which Eddie Bravo likes to tout as being more effective for mixed martial arts, which is kind of hard to argue against that. You know, when you're using the gi, you're able to pull on all the different pieces of it, whereas with no gi, it's a lot more of the underhooks rather than grabbing onto random stuff.
And that says a lot about this fighter. You got Eddie Bravo coming out here representing as well.
Yeah, lots of 10th Planet guys here tonight, both from Costa Mesa and from 10th Planet Van Nuys under Alder Hampel. So we'll just see a nice performance from these guys.
Let's go ahead and throw it to Sal to get the next fighter out here.
And his opponent making his way to the cage, Demar King George.
Demar George standing an inch taller at 5'8", 33 years old. He is the elder in this fight. Has 4 fights under his belt out of Norwalk, California. What do you know about the Dream Killer fight team?
Dream Killer is actually an independent fight club started by Demar George and his teammate, who we'll see later tonight, Jose Jovel, the owner of the fastest knockout here at the University of Mixed Martial Arts. They've expanded, though, from just 2 guys. I think now they have a team of about 14 or 15 people, really building, and that's under the leadership of Jose Jovel and Demar George. 2 really talented, focused guys. Demar's record does not really indicate the quality of his fight game. He's always looking to finish. He'll grab for a submission anytime. He's very capable of parrying out of bad positions and has a great Muay Thai background. He's super confident in that striking. The problem for him in the past has been the grappling. In his fight here in his last loss he had against Vince Cachero, Vince was just taking him down, staying heavy on top, kind of grinding it out, and that's for both of his losses. So his big focus tonight is the defensive wrestling, keep it standing, where he controls distance great and can get in and out with those punches.
Well, we'll see tonight if he has worked on those, and of course the grappling aspect as well. But man, in this game of MMA, to train so many things, you know, to get out of things, be able to keep fluid and all that stuff, it just makes this sport what it is today.
Well, and this is a pretty classic striker-grappler matchup. The key for Huicho tonight is going to be get it to the mat. Avoid the kicking and punching game of Demar George. And Demar George is the exact opposite. Defend those takedowns, keep it at distance, and make sure that he's deciding when they engage.
And to get this action started, we're going to go ahead and throw it to Salvador Arellano, the veteran voice of the cage.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, our next fight of the evening is brought to you by OTM Fight Shop for all your MMA and jiu-jitsu needs. Scheduled for 3 2-minute rounds in the bantamweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the Lucas Oil blue corner, a jiu-jitsu practitioner. He steps into the cage with a record of 2 wins and no losses. 1 win coming by way of submission. He stands at 5 feet 7 inches tall and weighed in at 135 pounds. Representing 10th Planet Costa Mesa, from Costa Mesa, California, Luis Carmona. And his opponent across the cage, fighting out of the Lucas Oil red corner, a freestyle fighter. He comes to this fight with a record of 2 wins and 2 losses. 1 win coming by way of knockout. He stands at 5 feet 8 inches tall and weighed in officially at 134 pounds. Fighting with Dream Killer Fight Team from Poplar Bluff, Missouri, Demar King George. Man in charge of the action, Sean Wells.
You know, it's always exciting when you see that classic, you know, striker versus the ground guy. I mean, it's just so much involved when that happens. And you want to see, sometimes you see the guy trying to prove, well, no, I do have stand-up, even though I'm a ground guy. Things start getting reversed.
And that'll be fascinating to see if that's what Weicho wants to do here against Demar George. I would be afraid myself of trying to mix it up on the feet with Demar. But there you go, Weicho punching his way in, getting a hole, but Demar doing a good job of pushing him back up against the cage.
Nice knees being thrown by him as well.
Very, very deep. I mean, you know, look at the torque that Demar George throws with.
Carmona just getting worked up against the cage here and reverses it there.
Yeah, Luis needs to work to get his back off this cage, turn it around, give himself an opportunity for a takedown. You can hear his coach calling for underhook right now. Luis has that overhook on the right-hand side and now getting that underhook on the left. He can use that over-under, trying to push out to the left and change his position, but Demar's doing a good job of pummeling.
Demar George, 33 years old, Lewis, 24. We know that that's never really become a factor in MMA.
Definitely not.
Dan Severn, again.
Well, so far, lots of hand fighting here, trying to control who's going to put who somewhere. And yeah, you got to wonder, there we go. Weicho gets out of that position. Taking the center of the cage here. A little wild here from Demar. He's usually a lot. There we go. Much tighter. But again, so far, Demar looking stronger in the clinch and a little more technical in the clinch, too, as well.
Demar takes a knee to the body.
Very deep knee to the sternum there. Weicho with double underhooks.
And that will be 10 seconds. And chapter 1 will be concluded. Demar trying to finish strong. But really, it's a pretty close match.
It's very interesting to me Demar wants to keep this in the clinch. I mean, he's winning the clinch battle so far, but Demar has a pretty decisive advantage in the striking. And it might be just that Weicho's punching his way in and not giving him the room for that. But if I'm Demar George, I'm circling away from the cage, making sure that Weicho can't trap him there so we can work that striking game.
And if you're just tuning in, this is King of the Cage in support of the University of MMA. Steve Inman, your commentator tonight, along with Rich Slayton, who is the guy normally calling the action, but letting me hang out with him tonight. Thanks for the tickets, man.
Oh, yeah. No, they're only $3,000,
yeah,
so whenever
okay.
you can get me back.
I'll try my best. I'll probably have to go get a loan from Mom.
Demar getting some very intense instruction from his coach right now.
Visit to our vendors on the main floor. We have Hoodlum, Fight Gear and
We talked
Apparel,
before about Demar wanting to circle
MMA
off
gear, and
and use
WSS.
those strikes.
Right
Weicho's
there
got a
on the
pretty good
main
game
floor.
plan up front, but I'd love to see him duck down for a single or a double leg rather than get into this clinch game. He's putting chest to chest right here, and Demar George is winning the chest to chest game. Well, another 120 seconds here in round number 2 of this 135-pound fight. Demar George with the white trunks. Luis Weicho Carmona have the gray trunks.
Demar comes in.
Trading Superman punches. This is a hockey fight now. And so that's what I was talking about. Weicho ducking under rather than getting the chest-to-chest game, and now he's exactly where he wants this fight to be.
Demar, you have said in the past, has had trouble on the ground from this position, so this is a great opportunity for us to witness to see what he's worked on from the ground here. But like you said, Lewis is just tough on the ground as well.
Yeah, when someone has a heavy top control, Demar's really struggled there. And also in terms of traditional wrestling. Weicho was spending the first round going for this, for like sort of a Greco-style fight and not going to that traditional wrestling background. And now that he's gone that direction, it's paying off for him.
Son, there! Posture up! Posture up, son!
Nice shots being thrown by Luis Carmona.
Not a lot of hips here from Demar so far.
Hands on him, son!
I really like to see Demar either scoot his hips out and work for a sweep or try to replace that full guard. Because right now in that half guard, Demar doesn't have very much control over the core of Weicho. Which, there we go, gives him the opportunity to mount.
So Luis Carmona is going to try and tee off here, but Demar doing a good job of closing the gap here. But how long can he do that? We'll have to see as Carmona continues to get out of this position and land some shots.
Yeah, Luis is really pouring it on here. Really, really hard shots. It's hard for you to hear. We can feel the bass of those when they thump being so close. They're right up in front of our booth now.
And just another reminder of what these fighters go through when they're in the cage, and finishing strong is Carmona, whatever it takes.
Really great round there for Luis Carmona. You know, we're talking about what the change that should be made. I think he made that exact adjustment. Change the way you go for the takedown and get on top, and that's what he did. And it worked out really well. I really would like to see more hips from Demar George. The guy is very powerful, and he translates that very well to his striking. But you can see he wasn't really trying to get out and make space to allow himself to move. Space is your enemy when you're on top, and Demar wasn't creating that opportunity. And
in a fight like this so far, it's pretty even because you don't know who won round number one. That was really quick. I mean, it's hard, and that's why we're not judges. You know, we sit here on the side, get the best seat in the house.
It's probably all tied up. Round one, you had Demar much more in control of that clinch game. Round two, Luis. I'd be surprised if this was a 10-8 round, although Luis was very, very dominant. This is sort of where I miss the older days of Camo. We used to use a half-point scoring system.
Wow.
So those half points were able to better give judges opportunity to create the distance in a round.
And avoid the draw.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, third and final
Nobody likes
round.
a draw, even a fighter. They don't like a draw.
Noise.
But hey, I think fans are just excited about a great fight, and that's what these guys are doing right now. Demar George, Luis Carmona, round three.
So let's see if Demar controls that distance a little better and doesn't stand right in front.
Delivers a nice shot to the chin of Demar George. He gets a beautiful takedown there, Rich.
And there you go. As soon as Carmona gets under, is able to get his hands on that leg, he puts Demar George on his back. And this has been the Achilles heel for the Dream Killer Fight Team representative for a long time.
And you can hear his team just take it to the ground. I mean, take it to where you're comfortable. And he obviously saw what it did for him in round number two.
I love the way that Luis Carmona is using these knees on the ground. Those knees, you're able to generate so much power from that position. And those things start digging in your ribs, those hurt a lot. Some damage now over the left eye.
And passes. Now in the full mount position, what can Carmona do? This time getting more of a head start, getting the full mounted position with a minute. He's got plenty of time to score some more points here.
Yeah, you don't want to be too silly here and overextend yourself. You don't want him to ride it out and just be a wet blanket on top, but Luis needs to be smart here, not give up the position, because right now he has this fight in the bag if he can hold on. But now see, look, he's searching for that armbar.
36 seconds remains here in round three. Demar George just finds him in a very frustrating position, trying to get out of this.
You know, he's not raising his hips, not creating space, and that's the one big weakness here in the game of Demar George.
And I'm sure Carmona knows he's not going to leave the chance up to the judges in round number one. Demar obviously taking that round. And now 10 seconds remains here. Carmona trying to finish strong, trying to pull that armbar again.
He's switching to a triangle, though. He's not going to have time to get it, but he is in a...
But looks great in the minds of the judges, right?
Yeah, it looks great. Even with that sweep there at the end, you got to say that third round went to Carmona.
Sure.
He was on top for maybe 120 seconds almost, 110 seconds. And now we have recent showcaser from Metamoris 3, an international jiu-jitsu phenomenon, Eddie Bravo, making his way around, trying to give some congratulations to his young fighter.
As awesome as that guy is, he's just a funny guy, too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
He's a great guy, man. But serious when it comes to fighting, of course.
And so committed. I mean, Luis isn't even a 10th Planet headquarters guy. He's a 10th Planet Costa Mesa guy. He's way out there. But Eddie and all of his team, the guys, Aldor Hampel out there at 10th Planet Van Nuys, Casey Halstead over there at 10th Planet Costa Mesa, Tony Ferguson over there at Subtech, who's also affiliated somewhat with Costa Mesa. All those guys really, really take a lot of heart and care for these amateur fighters, which is great. When you have people who are in the pro world who want to move you forward and guide you, that can really provide the necessary tools to help you get to that next level.
Absolutely.
You know, really tough fight here for Demar George. Such a talented guy. Really, really fun to watch his striking. I really wish we'd seen more of that striking game from Demar.
Yeah, and Carmona just was his demise, and I just stayed on top of him and didn't give him that opportunity, you know, and smart, of course, on Carmona's part.
A fantastic adjustment.
Yeah.
I don't know if that came from him or came from his coaches, but he made the exact right change he needed to make. He got away from that chest-to-chest game. I think Demar is the physically stronger guy of the two, and he was doing a better job of winning that hand fight. But that adjustment, that intelligence from Luis Carmona, that's the kind of thing you want to see in a young fighter, and I expect we'll see him move to 3 wins and no losses.
Well, we're going to go ahead and throw it to Salvador Arellano for the official announcement.
After 3 rounds of action, we have a unanimous decision. Judges scored this fight at 30-27, 29-28, and 30-26. For your winner, out of the blue corner, Luis Carmona!
So the unanimous decision there for Luis Carmona, pretty expected. I don't know where someone got 30-26.
Yeah, that was...
I mean, I guess that would be if you call the third round a 10-8 round, which there's a reasonable argument for that, I guess.
Sure.
And then that first round, if you put it towards Luis, I would have given round number 1 to Demar George. But Luis earns a well-earned decision. It's the right call, very, very strong fight. And I cannot stress enough the mental choices made by Luis Carmona and his coaches. That's what paid off tonight.